sent home for drama, which people did, then I'm disappointed because I feel like you took away an opportunity from somebody else. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my next location. My name is still Priscilla. I am a Seattle-based flight attendant who recently got hired on. I just completed my training. I do work with a major US airline company. So if you're new to the channel, that's who I am. I am here for that new flight attendant. I have a detailed playlist on the application process on how to become a flight attendant and a detailed playlist on how my 6 weeks of training went, my thoughts, my feedback, my experience. So if you haven't checked it out, I do have the links to those playlists in the description box below. That being said, in today's video, I will be talking about some of the questions that people have when it comes to training. Basic, straightforward, nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated, okay? I'm here to give you guys all the real tea. So let's get into today's video. So the first question that people might have about flight attendant training is the duration of the training. With the airline company that I applied to, it was 6 weeks. However, I know depending on the airline that you apply to or you get the conditional job offer from, it might differ. I believe it's typically between 3 to 6 weeks, depending on who you're with, or sometimes 3 to 8 weeks. I can't speak for every airline, but I know for sure the airline company that I applied to, it was 6 weeks. 6 long weeks, and typically they would fly you to their headquarters. And for me, the airline company that I applied to, they were based in Atlanta. Their headquarters was based in Atlanta. So I was flown out to Atlanta. I stayed in Atlanta for 6 weeks, guys. 6 weeks in a hotel for 6 weeks. It sounded bad from the beginning. It sounded weird and kind of some way from the beginning, especially because I was new to the aviation industry. However, it wasn't really that bad. My major concern was the person I was going to share the room with. Yes, it is a double occupancy room, so you're not by yourself in that room. I feel it would have been a little bit better if we were by ourselves and each person had their own room, because being in that hotel room for 6 weeks actually helped me adjust to the living in a hotel during my rotation and trips and stuff like that. So yes, it is 3 to 6 weeks, but it's highly dependent on the airline company you're applying to. Majority of the points before I move forward will factor or surround airline companies that are US based. So I don't know about the others outside of the US, but I know a little bit about the airlines that are based in the US. So that's it. It's 3 to 6 weeks. So depending on who you go with, you might get 6, you might get 8, you might get 3, but you're gonna be away from home for that long. Question number 2. Yes. There are assessments at least once every week, or at least each content you're taught on, you will be tested on. Each practicals you go through, you will be tested on. So there are assessments and there are averages that you're expected to maintain. With the airline company that I trained with, you're expected to maintain a 90% average on all your written tests. And with the practicals like door operation and emergencies and evacuations, among other things, those ones is a pass or a fail. However, you do get 3 attempts on those ones. And with the written assessments, I believe you get, in general, for all the written assessments, you get 2 attempts, 2 second attempts together, not each one. So you don't get a second attempt on each written assessment. You get 2 attempts on all of them. So if you failed the first time you wrote, let's say your 3rd paper, you would get a second attempt, and then you get another attempt again. And then the airline company that I applied to also had this 3rd thing, which was retake to replace or something like that. Assuming you failed, your average dropped below the required average, you had that one opportunity to do a retake and replace. So if you've already done a retake, then you can use that average to replace whatever test you failed that really caused your average to drop below the 90%. When you go, they will explain it to you, because I've gone through it and it's still a lot till today. I didn't have to do any retake to replace or anything, or a retake at all, but but it is a lot. But just my goal was, I don't want to know what it means, how it works, so let's pass this on the first attempt so we can keep it pushing. That's all I gotta say. They do whatever they can to keep you going, because as I've always said, not everybody's a test taker and sometimes it gets hard on these streets. So whatever it is, at least there are options for you. But the answer to that question is that you do get assessed, and take it very seriously, because it can keep you in training or get you sent home. And it did happen during my training, so keep that in mind. Question number 3. Yes, you do. So the training that I attended, we were given certain perspectives that we had to follow. So you had uniforms that you were required to wear on certain days, and then also certain attires that you're required to wear for certain events or programs. So we do wear uniforms, but it's not like complicated or difficult. Like one of our uniforms, for example, which we wore daily or the most, wearing black pants or slacks and a white colored shirt. That was it. So it's nothing too complicated. But if you don't already have these things already and you're about to go for training, then you're forced to go buy white shirts because you already don't have white shirts. So that can put you a little bit on the spending side. But yes, you do wear uniforms, and honestly I appreciated it because it made it easy for me to dress up every morning whenever I had class. I didn't have to think about matching colors or trying to figure out how this and this go well together. No, I already knew what I was wearing: black pants and white shirt, to be specific, and that's it. So I like the simplicity of it. Personally, I love uniforms, so I'm all for the uniforms. What are the questions that people have about flight attendant training? Point number 4 is, you do. The training is intense, it's a lot, but you do get days off. And I know when I say days off, people might expect 2 days in the week or something like that. It's not always 2 days in the week. I quite remember, I believe my first week, the day off was just 1 day. I think it was just Sunday. And it depended on what your schedule, how your schedule is set up for your class or your section, your days off might differ from other classes. So keep that in mind. But you do get days off. I cannot necessarily or confidently state that, oh, you would get 2 days off every week or whatever, because it differs. Some weeks are 2 days off, some weeks are just 1 day off. But keep in mind that you are going for training and you're doing something. So look at the end goal. What is the end goal? My end goal was to get my wings so I can start flying, because I know the job has a lot more flexibility. You do get a good amount of days off, or you do get some time to yourself that helps you regather yourself and get yourself together. So it's not like bam, bam, bam the whole time, even though it feels that way because of the stress level. But just make the best of the situation. That's all I can say about that, about the days off. But I can't say every week you're gonna get 2 days off. No, at least you're getting 1 day off. I say long days or nights because depending on what section you are in your class. I was section 1 of K class, and my class started at 6 a.m. in the morning. Some people started at 8, some started at 10. It depends. So then if you're starting at 10, essentially your class will run into the night. That's why I say they're longer days or nights. And I will say they are. Week 1, brutal. I was not ready. Like, I heard training was intense, but I didn't think it was gonna be that intense, especially week 1. Week 1 was a shocker. Week 2, too much content, a lot of content. We have so many long days that I can't even remember the shorter days that we have. It's clouded right now. I can't even remember I can't even specifically state that, oh, these weeks we had shorter days, these weeks we had longer days or longer. I can't say, but what I do know is that there were some days at least where we left early. Like, our class typically was supposed to run from 6 a.m. to like 5 p.m. But there were some days I believe that our instructors were so good and efficient with their time that we were able to leave at like what, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 2:30, up 3:30 around that time. But there are longer days and longer nights, so prepare yourself for that. The training is not for the weak. Like, flight attendant training is not for the weak. Moving on to point number 6. Most airlines do not pay you for going through flight attendant training. However, they give you like a meal card or a meal ticket, something to feed. That's what I heard from other airlines. However, my airline did pay. Honestly, the pay was just the minimum wage of Atlanta. And the minimum wage of Atlanta, if you ask me, is very, very low. But I did ask around, and based on the people that live there and what the information the person shared was that, is Atlanta the city that's expensive or has a high standard of living? But the state of Georgia as a whole, when you go out of the outskirts of Atlanta, the standard of living is quite reasonable, it's quite low. It's not anything to write home about, so do make sure that you prepare. Save some money, put some money aside to get you through training, so that if you have to pay your bills ahead of time, make sure you have money put down for that, because the money you're going to be earning during training won't be enough to support you, especially if you're living in the state that I'm living in. And the other thing also is that because training takes up all your time, even if you have another job, you won't be able to do it. Even if you work online, even if you're creating content, the time to even edit a video will be hard. I tried to do it my first week and I could not. I was like, nope, time out, cut. Luckily for me, I batch recorded a lot of my content, so I was able to pre-schedule them throughout training, and I just resumed recording video, editing videos and putting out videos when I got out of training. That was 6 weeks later. So keep that in mind. So yeah, save some money, put some money aside, because you're going to need it. Mind you, when you're at training, you're not fed, so you have to feed yourself. So the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner that you're going to be buying will be out of pocket. So the money they're giving you is simply just enough to feed you, and that's it. So your bills have to be taken care of by you, by other means. If you do have a partner, you have that support is there. But if you're on your own, you need to figure something out before you go for training. I'm sorry. That's the honest truth. Is training difficult? This is a tough one to answer because everybody learns differently and everybody understands content differently. So I cannot say that based on the content it was difficult or wasn't. Personally, I can't say that outright. But personally for me, I feel like the content was not difficult. It's just that the amount of content you're being given within that short period of time, and the fact that you're stuck in class almost the entire day. So you're forced to study. For me, I prioritize my rest and my sleep, because I understood early on that if I don't get enough sleep, if I don't get enough rest, I will not be in the best position to absorb anything in class or understand the other content that will be shared. So even if I had 1 hour to study after class before I went to bed, I was capitalizing, I was banking on that 1 hour. I wasn't gonna overstress myself, because if I overextend myself, whatever it is I'm trying to study would not stick anyway, so what's the point? Get my drift? Yeah, so personally for me, it wasn't necessarily hard, but it was overwhelming and it was stressful. It was highly stressful. Like, it will take a toll on you. My hair was a mess. My face was a mess. Like, I was like, it was just too much. But understanding the content was not difficult. If the content itself was not difficult, it's very basic information. And even if and I'm new to the industry, but it's not hard. So I would say yes and no to this question, because it's what you make of it and how you strategize your time. I did not go out drinking or partying or having fun or anything. I wanted my rest and my peace of mind, because I knew that would make me successful. But in going out and having fun and partying is what's good for you. Do whatever you want to do, is your choice. But I knew that I was there on a mission, and that mission was to get my wings. Even if I would do anything relaxing, it's me staying in my room, minding my own business, unwinding, doing nothing, watching TV, watching videos and stuff like that. But do what makes you happy, but know that it's tough. It's not for the weak, but the content is not that difficult. It's just the way everything is set up. You're away from home, you're in a hotel with a stranger, you're in class with a stranger, you're stuck with those people the entire day, you barely have time to yourself, there's always chaos and noise everywhere. So those conditions can make the easiest situation feel very, very difficult and stressful. So I think that's the best way to put it. 10 questions that people typically ask me when it comes to flight attendant training in my experience. And point number 8 is,
yes.
The drama of it all. It's not a funny situation. It's trust me, it's painful. And if I was put in that situation, I would be very, very hurt. I would be very, very traumatized, because you remember, like, I applied to become a flight attendant at the ending of the month of November 2022. I got training, my training date was assigned March 2023. So that's a lot of time invested in just starting training for this job. Training, on the other hand, was 6 weeks. That's a month and a half. So I literally spent almost 6 months. Let me see. So it's December, January, February, March, April. Almost 6 months just to go through the application process and to complete training prior to starting this job. So we invest a lot of time and money. The things people had to buy, the things I had to buy for training just to be compliant. And even when you are done with training and you start flying, your income will not be the normal income because you're adjusting to flying. You don't want to pick up too much trips because you get burned out. And then you're not working the best trips anyway. So the income coming in won't be million, like lots of money or good money from the start, even though you do have the potential to make good money. So a lot goes into just becoming a flight attendant. So to get sent home in the middle of this, that's hurtful. And people got sent home as late as the last week of training, as late as the day before graduation. So I'm not saying this to scare you, but I'm just saying this to let you know that you do have a lot on the line when you go. And for me, I get super disappointed when people get sent home because of drama. If it's because of the academic portion, I can understand that because everybody studies differently. Not everybody can study and write a test and pass successfully, especially under the conditions that we're in. So if you get sent home because of that, I feel bad. I'm hurt for you. Like, I feel you. And if you really want this, please go ahead and try again. But if you get sent home for drama, which people did, then I'm disappointed because I feel like you took away an opportunity from somebody else who could have made the best out of this situation. But people do get sent home. You can get sent home for academic reasons, for failing to meet your average, or if you don't pass when it comes to door day, when you're being tested on doors, how to operate doors, how to do your drills and stuff like that. And take it seriously. I cannot stress this enough. Take it seriously because you're so close when you're in training, and to get that being taken away from you can be so hurtful and traumatizing. And people do get sent home once again because of drama. My goal was to get those wings, and whatever I needed to do to get those wings, I was doing it. I cared nothing about nobody else. Everybody's business is not my business. The ninth question that people typically ask me when it comes to flight attendant training is, yes, you do go on 2 training flights, at least with the airline company that I applied to. When I did a little bit of research, I noticed that other airlines do the same thing too. So for us, the first one was more so safety related, safety bound, the focus of that training flight or when you're on that working flight. So the training flights, mind you, are actual flights that people are flying. Like literally mine was from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale, I believe. Yes, it was Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale, and it's a turn, so to and fro. And they are like real customers, real crew members working this flight. You're not on that training flight as a crew though. But the first one for me was safety related, like pre-flight checks, checking equipment, checking emergency equipment, arming doors. You're not arming doors or disarming doors, mind you, when you're on those training flights. But the focus of that first training flight was safety related. And then the second one was customer service experience related, in the sense that you actually get the opportunity to serve customers, interact with, you're interacting with customers also on the first one and possibly serving as well. But the goal for the first training is safety related, and then the second one is customer service related. And it's you serving customers, interacting, you know, helping the crew serve the clients and taking care of them on that flight. It was good. I did feel, I got sick on both, not necessarily like sick like oh my god I'm sick, but I felt motion sickness a lot on both. First of all, there was turbulence on both. The first one we couldn't do service at all, and that was it for like all the training flights, honestly. Turbulence to and fro wherever it is everybody was going. And the second one we were able to serve, but I did get sick. But I have come to realize now on that it was more so a result of me not eating well, me not sleeping well. I literally had no meals because my flight was like 6 or 7 in the morning. I left my room like at 4, which means I woke up at 3 a.m. So and mind you, I had class before. So it's not like you had a day off and then the next day you're going on a flight. No, you're still going through the same long days and long nights for training. Then you go for that flight. So I was not set up for success. I couldn't eat so early in the morning. The one that I ate also beforehand, what I ate did not sit well because it wasn't like a good meal or whatever. But yes, you do go on training flights and they were fun. I enjoyed it amidst all the drama that other people experience. Because sometimes depending on the crew you're working with, it can be a lot. And I did hear some horror stories, but this channel is not for that. We're all about the positivity, okay? Final point. is the overall experience of the flight attendant training worth it? Is it worth it putting your life on hold for 6 weeks just to get these wings? Is it worth it? Asking somebody who just graduated out of flight attendant training, I will say it is worth it based on what you're looking for out of the job. Aside from what you're looking at from the job, the training itself, I'm kind of glad it was that intense because it's making me appreciate the job even more. Because after training, once I got on the job, fine, when you're starting off, there's still some things, you won't know a lot of things. Even though you studied so much and you probably passed those tests, it was shoved at you. So you didn't learn it or understand it from a normal situation perspective. It was bam, bam, bam. So now that you're actually on the job, you kind of sort of have to refresh in terms of the things you're doing. Of course, when it comes to arming and disarming the doors, that is like automatic at this point. We know what we're doing, okay? We know what we're doing. The training was effective, but it's because the training was so intense, it's making me appreciate the easiness of the job right now, because the job is very subtle, it's very laid back. Of course, we're on alert all the time, but it's not a difficult job, I promise you. I've had many jobs, I've had difficult and stressful and tough jobs, and this is not one of them. Training was hard, but the job is not hard at all. And was the experience worth it? It was worth it for me, like I said earlier on, based on what I wanted out of it. In the sense that I wanted a job that had flexible scheduling, that I could pick and choose how if I wanted to do more hours or less hours. By default, I'm scheduled like what, 86, 80 hours a month. And if I want more hours, I can pick up more trips. But if I don't, I can just stick with what I have and take my 3 days off in between the flights that I have, and I'm good to go. So keep that in mind. I feel like every experience you go through ultimately is what you make of it. So it might be a bad situation, but what you make out of that situation, and it can turn or become good for you. But overall, for me, it was worth it. I went through it and I survived it, and I'm here chatting with you guys. But the experience was worth it. I enjoyed the job. I'm going to summarize by saying that if you're currently flight attendant training, I know you're probably week 1, week 2, week 3, wherever you are in training. I know it's seeming difficult right now. You're stressed, you're tired. I was in your shoes. I experienced exactly what you're experiencing now. And what I am here to tell you is that it's going to end by week 6. You will notice how free you are or how light you are. You would notice that this was not actually that bad. Like, it was intense. I did stress and struggle, but it's not that bad. But it is brutal when you're in the moment. It is a lot, but if you're still in training, once again, I'm here to tell you, you're going to make it. You got this. You're probably week 2, week 3. You will survive. And let me know in the comment section once you go through it and you get those wings. Share your experience with me. I'm here to hear it. Also, if you made it this far, support your girl by hitting that subscribe button. Your girl is trying to hit 1K, so this is where we're sitting. I'm gonna put the number of subscribers I currently have as of the time when I was editing or recording this video. This is where we are. If it's not 1K, hit that subscribe button, share the video, share the content, get your friends and family to subscribe as well. And then also like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section below. That being said, I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.